Tokyo, Japan. My name is Gary Verheller, and I'll be your host for what we call the Substance of Living podcast. Today, we'll look at what we call life's lessons. And I hope this will provide you with some insight, maybe even some inspiration to life's challenges. Welcome to episode 32, entitled Private Investigator, Part 1, Security. What do I mean by security? What's the definition of security? Security is being free from danger or threat. While I was at university, one of the many jobs I had, because I was putting myself through school and I had to pay for food and I had to pay for rent, no complaints, I learned a lot, was as a security officer for a new car facility. They had over 1,000 cars there. It was my job to make sure that everything, the cars, all of the buildings, there were multiple buildings there, and the perimeters, everything was secure and safe. So I had to think, how can I eliminate danger or threat? How can I reduce the possibility of threat? I decided to check everything first from the outside in. What did I do? First I went around the entire perimeter, the entire border, checking all the fences, checking all the gates, making sure everything was secure. After I checked the fences and the borders, then I checked every single door for every single car. And it constantly, a consistent source of surprise was the fact that these professional salespeople would leave the keys in the car. New cars with keys in them. It's almost like a flag to the bad guy saying, "Steal me, steal me." I couldn't believe they were doing this. Nonetheless, I pocketed every one of those keys and put them on the manager's desk, and of course made that part of my report. From the outside, I also checked every office door to make sure that it was secure or it could close securely. I also looked at every window from the outside to make sure that it was closing securely, it wasn't ajar, it wasn't open. I looked for hanging wires, which could be a danger. And again, I would do one last check on the exits because that was how the bad guys could enter the buildings. Then I would go from the inside out. Again, the first thing I would check from the inside out would be the doors. I would make sure they were secure and that they were locked. What's the difference? Secure means it closed properly. Locked means, of course, the lock was actually engaged and the door could not be opened. I checked all the windows from the inside. I checked every office door from the inside, made sure it was secure and locked. Once I had done that, then I decided that I would go on random patrols. But before we get to that, let me teach you something that I learned. A locked door keeps an honest person honest. Let me say that again. A locked door keeps an honest honest. And that's very true. And the bad guys, if they try to get into a building, if they've seen that the security officer has made sure that door was secure and locked, they'll go someplace else. That's 25% of security. 25%. So what's the remaining 75% of security? 75% of security is appearance. Making your presence known to the world. And that's what I did. I decided to do random patrols at random times of random duration, different lengths of patrol, and in different methods. Sometimes, at this time in my life, I was running marathons, so I would use patrolling the property by running. And I'd run for almost 30 minutes, just everywhere I could run, checking everything. And so here's a security officer in a uniform running up and down. At first, the police thought I was a bad guy until they realized, oh, that's Gary. He's the runner. And they would flash flash their red lights at me, or they would shine their spotlight on me as they drove by, because I was usually there late at night. Another thing I would do is ride my bike. Now, I made sure my bicycle was painted flat black. Even the rims were flat black. I had no light on it. Well, I did have a light. I just never turned it on. I had no reflectors on the wheels or on the back. I did have a light on the back, but I never turned it on. So I could zip through all over that new car and used car lot very quickly, time and time and time again, making sure everything was secure. As a result, I never lost a car. And I worked as a security officer for 7 years. I never lost a car. Eventually, I became manager of this security company, and we had 7, all in this one area of Albuquerque, were a bunch of the new car and used car lots. And my job, again, was to train the people to do the very same thing that I did. And we actually caught some bad guys. I personally caught some bad guys. I also caught some bad guys as a private investigator, which is what we're going to talk about in the next episode. In the meantime, thank you very much, and bye. Thank you for joining us today for the Substance of Living podcast. If you'd be kind enough to consider subscribing, you can contact us through Spotify or Apple Podcasts or connect on Twitter. Join us again next time for what I hope will help you navigate life.